Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who have joined us today. We are gathered here for a session on simplifying revenue recognition and progress invoicing in Zoho Books. I'm Palniappan, your host for the day, and here we have Marie-Andrée, one of our top valued finance partners from Canada, who will be walking us through over the next 16 minutes on how these two critical functions work in Zoho Books. Before we get into the webinar, a quick operational check. Can you please give me a thumbs up if my voice is clearly audible and my screen is visible? Perfect. Thanks a lot. So, for those who are joining our webinar for the first time, there is a black elliptical plane at the bottom of your screen. In that, the first two buttons, first one will be the chat option, which you can use to chat with us and leave your comments. Second is the Q&A panel where you can submit your questions. We will be collecting them and parallelly answering them. We have both our Zoho Books team and Cofinia team here with us who will be answering the questions parallelly. There will also be a dedicated Q&A session towards the end of the webinar to have all your questions answered. In this session, we will explore how two prominent business functions, finance functions, revenue recognition, progress invoicing works in a end-to-end accounting solution, Zoho Books. We got a lot of valuable content lined up, including some real-world use cases. So make sure you stay with us until the end. So as I said earlier, we are delighted to have with us Marie-Andrée, one of our top financial partners in Canada, who brings deep expertise in multiple Zoho products, particularly in Zoho Finance with Zoho Books. So without further delay, I'm handing over the mic to our speaker for the day. I will ask Marie to introduce herself to the audience and begin the session. Marie, over to you.
Thank you, Pal. So thank you, Pal, and thanks to Zoho Finance team to have me today. I'm happy to be sharing these new great features that Zoho Finance brought for us. So like Pal said, I'm a Zoho partner since 2017, early 2017. I started my company and I was just starting and looking for an accounting system that was more of the web-based side. And well, I could say that I fell in love with Zoho Books. And then from that point, all my clients, I tried to convince them to move to Zoho Books, and it was not a hard sell. It was they really loved it as well. And now we have maybe 70 clients that we do bookkeeping for them on a monthly basis on Zoho Books. And we also have a lot of clients that we do implementation of all Zoho apps. And we have, I do love Zoho Analytics as well because it complements well the Zoho Finance Suite. So I'm a CPA, and I will talk to you about why it's important for me, the revenue recognition and the progress invoicing as well, because what we see from our clients' books perspective is a great way to have a better understanding of the financial situation. So small introduction, we've been doing that. And I'm gonna skip quickly to the principle of revenue recognition and how to start setting that up into Zoho billing, but also in Zoho Books. And then we're going to move on to progress invoicing, have an overview, how to set it up, and then some use case as well in IT consulting, for example, and construction company. So revenue recognition, for me, it's on a day-to-day basis, it's something that I explain a lot to my clients. And I've started working with SaaS business early in the Cofinia's journey. And it was really important because what you see is that you have to work with banks, work with investors, and showcasing your MRR, which is an important KPI in the SaaS world. So showcasing that, sorry for my English, it's really important, but it's also important as if you have it in your Zoho billing, which we have a lot of stats and KPIs, it's great. but it has to tie in your P&L as well and be able to explain the discrepancy if you have questions. And it also helps in your P&L to have the great financial overview of not just the sales part, but the revenue part, which if you're doing, accrued accounting, it's a bit different. So for that, you have less, restatement at year end if you do proper revenue recognition. So there's a lot of advantage to do it. And before these new functions in Zoho, you had to do it manually, which was something that sometimes could be hard if the business model was not, mature enough. You had a lot of adjustment to make, so it was really hard to track properly the MR. But now I think it's a great way to do it using this new function from Zoho. So we're going to go into the first example, and I'm going to start in Zoho Billing. So if you don't use Zoho Billing as of now, I will have another use case directly in Zoho Books. And I'm not going to go into a deep dive of Zoho Billing, and we'll only showcase a few things to explain the revenue recognition function. But we have the team here, so if you have questions, you could go to the chat and ask more questions about the product as well. But I'm going to showcase and focus on the revenue recognition feature. So let's go into Zoho Billing. And Paul, if you see something that I'm too fast, too slow, whatever, please, because I don't see you, so please say something and I will adjust.
Yeah, all good, Marie. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So in your Zoho Billing, you have to request a feature first. Once you have it, you could go to your preference, go to revenue recognition, and this is where you're gonna start and creating your different rules. So you have a lot of options to create different rules depending on, what do you want to do, how do you want to record your revenue. So let's say I open this one. So if you give a name and then you choose first your different revenue account that you want to record your different subscription revenues. So it's a balance sheet account. So I would suggest to use a different account than the standard account that is provided by Zoho. So you could have a grasp on, recording or your reconciling it on your end. It's always like maybe my accountant at that suggests that, but if you're an accountant as well, then you will understand me that it's easier for us to have like separate accounts for your subscription. And then you have your recognition frequency. So you have here your information button if you need more information, but you can either recognize on a monthly basis, quarterly, yearly, once, and you have custom option as well. So it's really flexible for you how you want to set it up. And then you have here the function that calculate how you want to have your revenue during that period that you chose. So evenly distributed, daily, or evenly distributed with prorated value. So evenly distributed is on a month, for instance. So you will have like, it's for instance, if it's a $1,200 subscription for the year, then it's going to be $100 for the month. But then if you choose evenly distributed and your subscription start on the 15th, for instance, then the first month you will have only 50% of your first month subscription. So this is pretty accurate. And then this is evenly distributed during the month. So it spread your subscription in the number of months of the frequency. So like I said, you have a lot of options. And the last one is if you want to have the recognition time set in beginning of period, of end of period. I prefer beginning of period, and I will say why in a minute, but you have those two choices. Start so at the beginning of the month or at the beginning of the subscription, or period end, so at the end of the month or the period. And I say start of the period is easier for me because you're going to see, for instance, if you go over your revenue during the month and everything, and it's the 15th, well, you will see all the revenue from the beginning of the month as well if you choose start period. So maybe it's a little bit hard the way I explain it is, but if you're, more on the day-to-day, accounting, and you like to go over your Zoho Books account and review your numbers a few times during the month, then the start period suits for you. But if you don't look at your numbers until the end of the period, then it doesn't have a big impact. So once you set up your recognition rules, then you go and you have to go to your product catalog and then set up your rules into each product. So you have items, so it is your Zoho Books items, but for your subscription, now it's your subscription items. And for those that are not familiar with Zoho billing, your subscription items can be your product. Let's say we talk about Zoho, so it could be Zoho One, Zoho Books, Zoho Project. So depending on your product, these will be your items. And then in each items, you will have some plans. So you can see here all different plans. So if I choose this one, and you have to give a name that you will remember, but your different plans, then this one is yearly. So this is all where the information on your billing is. So you will add, is it, what's your price? What's your billing cycle every year? And then will it auto renew, or will it, let's say it's a 3-year contract or engagement? So you will say all these information here, the free trial period if you have one, if you want to have some setup fee. And I will go back to that, but I'll come back to setup fee after. But if I continue, you have also here your GL account for your plan. So the revenue that are going to be recorded, and the same GL account, or the GL account for the setup fee. And I would encourage you to have different account for one-time fee, setup fee, implementation fees, because they're non-recurring revenue, and have them separated from your recurring revenue. Because when you're going to talk to investors and bankers, they will be interested in recurring revenue much more than in non-recurring revenue, and you won't have to restate your P&L if you do that from the beginning. So that's why I encourage you to have two separate GL accounts for recurring and non-recurring revenue. And then in your plan, that's where you're gonna set your recognition rules and your different revenue account as well. And you can use also reporting tags if you want to track some information on your family of product or industries from your clients or business unit, whatever. So I don't know if you're familiar with tags, but they're pretty great if you want to spread and have separate P&L, for instance, for different ways to look at your business. So this is the plan. So you will do that for each one of the plans that you have. So monthly, quarterly, yearly. And then I was talking about setup cost. So the setup fees that are here directly made by Zoho, what you have to know is that they will have the same revenue recognition rule that you have for your plan. So if you want to record your revenue one time for your non-recurring revenue, then you can create what we call the add-on. So you can create a implementation or setup cost add-on, and then in that add-on, you will say, okay, this is one-time implementation cost. This is the price. I will have this one time. It can be associated to one or many plans. You can choose which implementation cost goes with each plan. And then you will set up your account as well. And for that, I would choose a recognition rule one time instead of having a monthly recognition rules. So this one would be one time. So that way the revenue for the once implementation would go to your P&L the month that you bill, and then your plans, your subscription are going to be spread in revenue for each period. So once you have set up all that, and for those who don't know or don't use Zoho Billing, then you can also have all this set up on showed on your website. So when you go to sales, the next step would be to create the subscription for your clients. So whenever a client create a subscription, you can do it directly from your website if you have set up the web page from within the facilities of Zoho Billing. But for the purpose of this this webinar today, it's a trial account that I'm using that I set up for this webinar. So I don't have that directly for the web. But if we create now, for instance, a new subscription, I would create for my SaaS company, and then I would choose a product, and then I choose a plan. And then I would say, for instance, 2 seat for this plan to users. I could add the add-on if I want, and I would do the implementation cost. And I could have some coupons if I want to have some discount to my clients. And then I will add up the start date of my plan. So if you are online, the start date will start when the clients start his subscription. But if you are on the back end, if your business model is not, as set as or as ready to put that on the web. I had a client like that was starting his, pivoting from services to SaaS, and they had a lot of changes in their model, so they decided to do it remote. Then you could choose, okay, this subscription start July 1st. Then I would have to create the invoice and say to create the invoice for that current billing cycle because it started earlier than the date that I want. I could have either the standard trial period. I could say, no, I don't want to have this trial period. And then all the information to create my subscription. So I'm just going to review here. Is there some other preference that I could make? You could have prorated billing. You could also have meter billing. If you don't know, you can have, for instance, if you have usage, number of transaction or consummation of bandwidth or whatever for your product, you could have also some usage added to your invoice. So that's great. So I'm going to create my subscription, and then I'm going over. You have the subscription page here, and you have all the information related to your subscription, but you also have the invoices history. And in this invoice, you will see at the bottom the revenue recognition rules. So you have the information. I'm just going to see and showcase when the revenue recognition amount will start. So at this point, there's no revenue recognized. The calculation is not there. So whenever the next cycle will start, there's going to be a prorate for this one, depending on the revenue recognition rule that you put in. So each subscription will be based on the same profile. It's in your product catalog and your plans that you need to set up your rules. So based on the rules, that's where it's going to be calculated, the revenue recognition. So I wanted to showcase 2 reports that are explaining a little bit. So for instance, you have your sales by customer. So these are all the plans that you have for a certain period. So I say, for instance, for 2025. And then if you go to the revenue waterfall, what you will see is by month, the spread of your revenue. So you will see that you have your recognized revenue for the year and your deferred revenue for next year. So it showcases well the difference between your subscription and the revenue recognition. So this is the part for next year, and this is the part for this year. So this is great information for the accountants in the room. And you also have your MR, and there's a lot of reports that you could showcase, the churn, all the new subscription and everything. So I won't go over all the reports that you have in Zoho Billing, but there's a lot of reports that you could use, and you could track also your MR, and that's the well, we call it here in Quebec the hockey stick kind of graph to see that the revenue, the MR is building up, and for each new subscription until you have some churn, and we hope you don't have. So that's what I wanted to showcase in Zoho, in Zoho Billing. And if you use Zoho Billing and you use also Zoho Books, so if you go to Zoho Books, you will have the same invoice that you create. So you can see the same invoice here. What you will have is you will have from your journal, and you have your revenue recognition details. So you have the journal entry here. What you can see here for the accounting side is, Zoho is always doing two separate journal entry. The first one to record accounts receivable. And then the second one is to say, okay, is it still revenue yet, or this is subscription deferred? So as I said earlier, or maybe I didn't say it, sorry. So the revenue are going to be recognized the next day. So if you have a subscription, an invoice, and you must have the revenue, then it's going to showcase the next day. So since I did it on the spot, let's say that we look at this one. So you see a lot of postings. So you see that this subscription started, and we had a trial period as well. So I don't have revenue until the June 30th. So I have subscription, a portion of that for the number of days in that month that is debited from my balance sheet account, my subscription deferred. And then I have a record for the revenue as a credit. So these revenue for the month of June are going to be posted in my P&L. And then the next posting is for July 31st. So this one is probably a rule with the end of period selection. So then I also have a number of days, because we have more days in July, so the amount is bigger. And I have my revenue for the period. And then I could go over to revenue recognition detail, and I'm going to have the recognized amount as of now, and then what's left in my deferred amount. So you have a lot of great information for the accountants in the room to see and track and balance your books on the revenue recognition side. And you can go into your P&L. So if I go into the P&L, I can choose filter on my business unit to see my SaaS example. So I could see all my revenue for the year, or I could choose the period, for instance, maybe let's say June.
Hi, Marie.
So going back to the next example, so this one was for the billing side, and if you use also Zoho Books integrated with Zoho Billing, and then if you use only Zoho Books, but you still need a subscription and revenue recognition would be great for you. At this point, you probably did annual recurring invoice in Zoho Books, and which is great, but then you don't have the revenue recognition. So I'm going to show you a way to do it in Zoho Books as well. So if I go to Zoho Books, you have the same place where you have your preferences and your revenue recognition. So if you have both, then it's the same. But if you have Zoho Books, then you will set it up here as well in Zoho Books. And then you have your items. So when you go to your items, you will create some items as well. So because you activate the revenue recognition function, then you will have in either your services, you will have to set up a rule, a one-time rule for all your products or services that doesn't need a spread in your revenue. And then you will create a product that needs a recognition rule. So let's say, for instance, it's a website hosting for the year. So you charge your client, you're hosting their website, you charge a price. So you can create your plan and then add your revenue recognition rule and the different revenue account that you want to have. And you also have your tags here, so you can tag them. So now that you have your product or your items set up, then you can go to, your invoices, and you can create an invoice. So I have a client, and let's say that I have marketing SEO service for, I don't know, anyway, it's not important the amount. And then your website design hosting and website hosting. So your yearly plan. What you will have to do different in Zoho Books. So whenever you use a yearly plan or a quarterly plan or something like that, you have your 3 dots here that you can showcase additional information. And once you go there, you have your GL account if you have a discount related, and then you can track by project as well. But you have your revenue recognition rule here, and you have your little arrow. What you have to do is saying on what time you want to spread your revenue. So let's say that I'm July 23. Maybe I started hosting this website on the July 1st, and then I would choose June 30th. And then I would do save, and then I would send my invoice. So you'll have the same kind of information in your GL. So it's going to post your accounts receivable and then credit the information here. Tomorrow morning, what you will see is the revenue recognition rule that you will be posted. So you will see it in your journal entry. So you will have full amount for services, so SEO services, but you will only see $200 for your website hosting because it's the spread that you ask for in your revenue recognition rule. So you have 2 use cases. So if you're on a full subscription model, then you could use Zoho. But if it's something occasionally that you're doing for Zoho Books, then you could use Zoho Books directly and then use the function as well, and then set it up in your items and create your invoice and add it in your invoice as well. So now I'm going to go over the progress invoicing overview. So this is another feature. So progress invoicing is mainly used in long-term project when you have some milestone in your project, and it helps you a little bit like a revenue recognition. It helps you remove some spikes in having all those revenue recognized at one time when you invoice your clients. So it's gonna spread the billing based on when the costs are occurred. So it's a little bit easier for the clients, but it's for you as well. So, and on the cash flow, instead of having just maybe 10% at the beginning and then 50% at the middle and then 40% at the end, so you can invoice faster and every month, for instance, on what's the progress of the project. So I have two example. So the first one would be a consulting firm, IT, or even, in our case, we do one implementation project that runs over a few months. So we can do it. As of now, we did it in Zoho Books. We now change a little bit our model to tie it up. And what I wanted to suggest is kind of a flow process. If you use the one, for instance, you could have your sales information and tracking your deals in the CRM. And then you could have, for instance, a sub form. That's what we have. We have a sub form that is related to all the milestone of the project. So we could choose that, and then it goes to a quotes. And it also has the same templates from Zoho project. So whenever we create, we can automate our processes easily. So I'm going to showcase that in Zoho Books and Zoho project. So whenever you do first quotes, so you could have, for instance, this example that I create. So I create some items that are similar to my template in Zoho project, which has the same phases that I have in Zoho project. So whenever I create, either you could start from your quote, or if you have some detailed planning to do to estimate your project, and then it's the base from your quotes, then you could start from Zoho project and reverse the process. So with automation between apps, which is possible in Zoho Suite, then it's great. You can really tie it up to what your business model is. So either you start from books or from project if you need more detailed information. So the view in Zoho project would be, you would have the same phases here. And then what's great is because you have, if you use the task and the timesheet in Zoho project, then you have a percentage of completion that you can track in Zoho project. So whenever your quote is done and you want to invoice your quote, then you would convert into an invoice. And once you do that, you have different options. So you can invoice the entire quotes. You can invoice a custom amount for each phase or each items, or you can invoice a custom amount for each line item. So if you choose that option, which is what I want to do, then you could have either two options. So it's really flexible. You can invoice amounts or you can invoice percentage. So if I go back here, I have 33, 35, 23. So I could showcase those directly in my invoice. And just say 0 or remove the line here. So then I could send this invoice. So I have my percentage, my progression bill. And then the next month, if I go back to my quote, and then if I want to convert to invoice as well, I could redo the same thing. What you will see is you still see the amount, but what you can do here in recent transaction, you will have the historical invoice that you do. So you can see what you've already billed the previous period. So you can then adjust that as well to your current invoice. So once you've done that, if you set up your with a project or everything. So this invoice here, sorry, if I go back here. So this invoice is going to be your progress invoice for your consulting project and everything. So this is one of the way that you could use it for projects. The other way that I wanted to showcase, it's another example, is for construction company. And I've chosen this example because we have a few clients in the construction industry. And one of the things that was not easy with the invoicing, the billing, was the progress invoicing, of course, but also the retention that sometimes you have to manage retention that your clients are taking on your invoice. And you also have to track the progress of your project, we would use Zoho Analytics at some point, because we didn't have all the cost, in the reports of Zoho. So your HR costs, your time, so there's no, salary posting from the timesheet that you have in Zoho Books, and also the inventory adjustment that is not possible in Zoho Book as of now, but I have a workaround for you that can be automated as well. So let's go to Zoho Books. So when I go to Zoho Books, I have quotes that I can create as well for a construction project. And if I do something really quick, let's say I have my client, and then I do my project. Let's say that whatever, it doesn't matter, So this one is an inventory item, and this one is a service item. So I could have both into my example, but I can also have not, specific items related to inventory item. I could blend it into, foundation and, finishing, framing, and whatsoever. So I could have either, more of milestone to showcase on the quotes for my clients and not show the details of, my estimates. So you send your quotes to your client. You can accept it online, and then I'm gonna mark as accepted to keep on working my example. So once it's done, you can create a project or a retainer invoice, but I don't know if you have this, but you can create a project from here. And what you will see is that you will have your task name created from your items directly. So you could showcase the same structure that you have in your quote for your project. The retainer invoice. So in Quebec and Canada, we have an issue with our sales tax. So we've been working with a client, and the government agency said that there's practically no case for retainer invoice because there's no tax calculated on those. But I don't know in the US, I think it's not an issue the same way in the US. So you can use, for instance, the retainer invoice if you want into your project. If you create a retainer invoice, just know that the entry in your balance sheet will be done only when the clients will pay the retainer invoice. Until the client paid a retainer invoice, there's no journal entry for that. And then after that, the retainer invoice, you can apply it once it's paid. You can apply it to your, all invoices that you have as a payment, partial payment or whatever, you want to apply your retainer invoice. So once you have your quote and you want to start billing your quote, let's say this one. So once you convert to invoice, the same way you can, invoice the remaining amount that from the previous period, or invoice a custom amount or a percentage or by line item. And what I want to showcase for you, let's say that I built 10% of this. What you have at the bottom is the retention. So the retention or the withholding, you can create some rules as well for that. I will showcase after where to go to in your Zoho Books, but you can have a withholding of 10% of the invoice. So it will showcase the amount that will be retained, and you will have your balance due, so the client will pay the balance. So if you want to set this up, it's in general setting, and directly in general setting at the end here, you have payment retention. You can enable that and create the rules and in which accounts you want to track your retention payables to balance your book at the end of the year. So I would, again, recommend to create a separate account. So that's where the retention is. And Once you have a retention, then you can invoice your retention at the end or whenever it's due. So you can create claim invoice. So you will be able to claim your invoice and send it to your client to retrieve your 10% withholding. One thing I wanted to show you, if you want to use projects in Zoho Books for your construction project. So one of the things is you have some project hour report, you have a profitability summary. So if you create some bills and post it to your project, then you will have your costs here. So it's easy to track all your costs. You could have also, I was talking about inventory adjustment a little bit a while back. So one of the things that I did to create adjustment to project, you could either do just a custom field, and it's going to be a related field to your list of projects. So you can have your different projects showcase here. And then this one I didn't test it because I just found out when I created the demo account and the presentation. But with all the new features and all the possibilities of custom function, I'm pretty sure that we can automate that. So whenever you say, okay, I want to create a journal entry to post to project this inventory adjustment, then what we have here is we have, the journal entry. So this creates this inventory adjustment at 1,000, charge to your cost of goods sold expense account. But for now, it's not posted to your project. So you can either have a profitability report in analytics. We have the project field, so we can build a separate profitability report in analytics. But you can also go to accountant and set up a journal entry. And in this journal entry, what we do would be like an offset journal entry. So the first line would be, the ones to debit your expense account, but post it to the project. And the other one would be the reverse entry. So to credit the expense, but not related to a project. So this second line would offset your inventory adjustment. So you don't have a double entry, and this one would remain, and we will be able to see it in your project report. So if I go back, to the time tracking project and the profitability report. So I can see that here I have 16,000 in actual cost as of now. So it reflects my journal entry for the inventory adjustment. And I didn't know if you know that, but you also have the full P&L report here for your project. So you can, if you rather see it, and change for the period. So you have a full P&L for your project. One of the things, depending on how your business is working and your structure and everything, you have also in the setup that you can do in your project is you can showcase costs for your time tracking. So I did it a little bit in reverse there, so you don't see it. But if I do a new log time, let's say for 12 hours, I will be able to see the total cost. So if I want to track cost, I could either track a cost here, but I set it up afterwards. So that's why it's not updating, but I can have a cost per hour for each employee in their user account. So what it will do, so it will show you the cost for the hours. So these information as well can give you a tracking of your profitability, estimate profitability, because the cost will not be exactly the cost of your employee, but it's going to be like an allocated cost. So if you want to have rates for your employee, you go to settings. The first is you have to go to timesheet and then activate track cost entry for time entries. And then you go back to the user here. And then in your user, you could edit. And then set a part by default cost per hour for your user. So that's a way that you could allocate costs based on the timesheet. But then, a good analytic reports can give you a profitability report or progress project report for your different construction project. So I see that I'm about finished with the use case. So I will give you my contact if you have some more question. And I know that we have a period, so I'll give back the mic to Pal.
Thank you a lot, Mari. We have come to an end of a truly comprehensive and wonderful session. So we have seen now how revenue recognition, progress invoicing not only work in Zoho Books, but across multiple Zoho Finance products with the integration of those products with books can help you with a unified view of how to manage these two critical finance functions. Thanks a lot, Marie, again for all your insights on how these two functions work in our Zoho products. So if you still have any questions or would like to continue the conversation, feel free to reach out to us. If you are from the USA, support at usa.zohobooks.com. And for Canada audience, it will be support.ca@zohobooks.com. All right, then. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Maxim. Thank you, Angie. And thank you all to our lovely audience who took your time out to join us. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you at a similar such next webinar. Thank you.